Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 30th, 2018. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The Morgan family of Hopewell in the Maricopa Valley, which includes husband and wife Nigel and Althea Morgan and their 23-year-old daughter Crystal, were today each sentenced to serve 4 years behind bars after they were found guilty of inflicting grievous bodily harm to Cuthbert Victory in an incident just outside their home on April 9, 2016. During the incident, the Morgans reportedly held Victory down and poured hot water on him, burning him severely from the chest up. The incident drew public outcry and calls for justice for Victory. After several adjournments, the matter concluded today with the ruling and sentencing handed down by Magistrate Ricky Burnett. Just after the ruling, defense lawyer K. Bacchus-Batiste, who represented the Morgan family in the matter, told SVG-TV News the sentence was too harsh. Bacchus-Batiste said the 4-year sentence, each for father Nigel Morgan, mother Althea Morgan, and the daughter Crystal Morgan, could have been a heavy fine instead of a jail sentence.
While I agree that it was a serious offense, and if the magistrate found them guilty as he did, I agreed that it was a serious offense for which they need to pay, and I thought that a fine might have been the better way to go, because under the law, the sentencing is based upon the facts of the case, mitigating factors, aggravating factors, and the character of the defendants, and you send people to jail when you think that they are in need of to be rehabilitated, that these are defendants who don't need a deterrent, which I think is the case with the Morgans. Then sending them to jail may not prove anything. Though I say you have to balance the interests of the virtual complainant with the interests of the society and the interests of the defendants. So I really think that a fine, a fair, heavy fine, might have been more appropriate in the circumstances.
The defense lawyer said she will appeal the sentence and get bail for her clients who are currently behind bars at Her Majesty's prison.
The whole case was based on common design, but he also went further to say that he believed the prosecution's case that they aided and abetted the third defendant, which is the daughter Crystal, when she poured the hot water on him. So it is on that legal finding that I have instructions to appeal, because I'm not really satisfied that the evidence proved that. Now, there is some evidence from which he could find that conclusion, but the law requires that he must be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that that is what happened. There was a lot of inconsistencies in the prosecution's case, which I did not think that the magistrate dealt with. And that if he were to really deal with it, for example, inconsistencies between the witness statements that he gave the police, especially the virtual complainant, and what he actually said in court. So I think when all of that is taken into consideration, there is a good ground of appeal. But apart from the verdict, we are also appealing sentence.
Bacchus-Batiste says that she has been criticized for representing the Morgan family, and that as a professional, she will represent whomever needs proper representation.
I myself have been maligned a bit for doing the case. It was said that he is ULP, why would I take his case, and things of that nature. So I just wanted the public to recognize that I am a professional. I took an oath when I became a lawyer and I was sworn in to demean myself according to the profession, which includes defending my clients to the best of my ability. I don't ask my clients the political persuasions when they come to me. If they come to me, the law says that every man is innocent until proven guilty, and they have a right to an attorney of their choice. It would be against the ethics of the profession if I refuse to defend someone who is in need of a defense because of their political persuasion or because I think that they are not nice and so forth. So I have a duty, and I will carry out my duty fearlessly in accordance with the law.
Our news team made several attempts to contact Cuthbert Victory and his lawyers to get their views on today's ruling, but was unsuccessful in doing so. General Secretary of the Commonwealth Queen's Counsel Patricia Scotland, on her visit to SVG today, expressed the need to put the wealth back into the Commonwealth. Meeting with government officials here, including Foreign Minister Sir Louis Straker, the Baroness commended Sir Louis for his input at the recently held Commonwealth meeting in the United Kingdom. The high-level Commonwealth representative said the UK meeting, which addressed the Windrush generation fiasco, is a reminder that no matter the size of the nation, there is a platform to be heard and for matters to be dealt with.
I can commend Sir Louis for the sterling performance and the representation of St Vincent that he undertook on behalf of the Prime Minister during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London. The active participation of Sir Louis, representing St Vincent's particular needs, particularly as a small island development state in the Caribbean, was quite remarkable to see, and I would like to say a grave thank you to him and indeed for the Prime Minister for delegating the onerous responsibility onto his very able shoulders. And then you have economies which are like the UK's, the 5th largest in the world, and then smallest economies. So I think what we've learned is that platform is a very powerful platform for getting your issues raised in a way that people actually hear you. Because quite often we may be knocking on the door, but we're not always heard. And I think this created a very unique opportunity for people to be heard.
Baroness Scotland further explained that it is necessary for a strategic approach to combat climate change and spoke of the Blue Charter, which has been formulated to put vulnerable countries, including those in the Caribbean, in more regenerative positions in times of disasters.
But we're not just pooling what works, we're also coming together to share what has not worked, because many of us with good hearts and a lot of energy and a lot of commitment have spent a lot of money trying things, and yet we know they haven't worked. But because they're sensible things, many of our other countries are trying the same thing. So if we can pool that knowledge and share what does not work as well as what does work, then we will save a lot of money. But what we're discovering is none of us can do this on our own. We all need to come together because the climate is no respecter of people. And so if we don't work and plan and plot together, we're never going to make a difference. And we also know that this climate change is happening much faster than any of us thought. So we have to be smarter. And we are also looking at our old ways.
The Commonwealth Secretary General, who will be going to St. Kitts and then Guyana, also highlighted the area of intra-trade, or trading among other nations, as an area that is being closely monitored. She said there are relatable components such as law and language that make it easier for Commonwealth nations to conduct business.
Understanding that there's a 19% advantage in the Commonwealth countries trading together because we have the same laws, similar parliamentary systems, similar institutions. And so we were talking about how we build on that connectivity and how we turn that into a 30% advantage and how we put the wealth back into Commonwealth, but also how we put the common back into wealth. We were talking too about climate change, the fact that 31 of our member states are small and face the existential threat of climate. We are now about 32 days out of the next hurricane season, and we're told that the next hurricane season is likely to be as bad, if not worse, than last year. So how can we prepare for that?
The Baroness visited SVG today as part of her tour to several Commonwealth states in the region. An official high-level delegation from the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, is expected here for a two-day visit from tomorrow, Tuesday, May 1st to 2nd. The delegation will be headed by the UAE's Minister of State for International Cooperation, Rem Al-Hashimi. While in the state, the delegation will meet with Governor General Sir Frederick Ballantyne and Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Additionally, there will be a ceremony for the signing of a visa waiver agreement between both countries on Wednesday, 2nd May 2018, which will be held at Cabinet Room from 10 a.m. Cleaner reefs, healthier fish to eat. That's the slogan chosen by the organizers of the 2018 Fisherman's Day celebrations. Chairman of the 2018 Fisherman's Day Committee, Winfield Tanis Abbott, said the coral reef is important to the sector, and as such, awareness on the issues affecting the coral reef is important. Tanis Abbott said this year is the 43rd anniversary of the Fisherman's Day celebrations and highlighted some of the activities persons can expect to see in the month-long calendar of activities.
This theme and slogan heightens awareness and understanding of the values of corals to the fishing sector and the threats associated with their destruction, which can cause implication for food security, livelihoods, and fiscal contributions to our economy. Moreover, following the selection of theme and slogan, the committee has planned a number of activities which spans from today, April 27, and will culminate on May 21st, 2018, with Monday, 1 month. Each Fisher Folk Cooperative was allotted 1 week in the month of activities where they will host fish nights, blood pressure and sugar checkups, NIS membership, drive sports day, school competition, and donations of a quantity of fish to an institution in Kingston.
Chief Fisheries Officer Jennifer Cruikshank Howard said the Fisheries Division continues to implement strategies aimed at improving the sector and looking out for the best interests of the fisher folk who depend on the sector for their livelihood.
Over the years, the Ministry of Agriculture has been providing opportunities for our fisher folk to benefit from the industry by assisting them to protect our resources. And this is through duty-free concessions on the fishing vessels, gears, engines up to 115 horsepower as of this year, and other equipment that are used in the industry. They also provide training programs in various aspects of the fishery sector and offering projects and programs to improve the standards of living for the fisher folk and their families. Today, I am proud to be part of the ministry that is responsible for this important sector, and I am happy to welcome you once again to the official launch of this celebration, Fisherman's Day 2018. Thank you.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Raymond Ryan, said the fisheries sector continues to play a vital role to the nutritional need of Vincentians, as an estimated 12 million EC dollars worth of fish landed here last year. Ryan said the coral reef is plagued with a multitude of threats such as climate change and pollution, and spoke of some of the action taken by the government to address some of these issues.
Is the effects of land-based sources of pollution, such as coastal development and agricultural runoff, which can impede coral growth and reproduction, disturb ecological function, and cause disease. This is why the government is placing emphasis on management of watersheds, promotion of the use of good agricultural practices, and the implementation of proper building codes. These initiatives serve to reduce the pollution and sediments which enter our marine environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you, the Fisheries Division, fishers, a successful and event-free Fisherman's Month of activities.
Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Sabota Caesar, says the government continues to explore measures which will allow the private sector to thrive in the fisheries sector. Minister Caesar added that the youth must also be given the opportunities to explore areas of opportunities in the fisheries sector.
The government is here to create an enabling environment for citizens to invest. The government is not here to compete with citizens as it relates to investment opportunities. And we want, in every material particular, every possible way, when these young children of the C.W. Prescott Primary School, when they leave college and university to return here, they must see a business opportunity awaiting them where they can invest, not only to apply to the public sector for a job, but they can open their own businesses and become entrepreneurs.
The month of May will be observed locally as Child's Month, and this year the main focus will be on promoting inclusive education. Earlier today, an official launch of the month of activities was held at the National Public Library Conference Room. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
Activities for Child Month 2018 will be observed under the theme Stand Up, Reach Tall, Inclusive Education for All. Speaking at the official launch of the month of activities today, Monday, April 30th, Senior Education Officer in Early Childhood Education, Gwyneth Cambridge, said every year the Child Month's theme matches perceived areas of emphasis internationally in education.
Might be deemed as retarded or stupid or some other derogatory word, because to the minds of the other children or students, unless they're able to speak immediately, something is wrong. We want to change that perception. We want to change perception of the parents so that you stop comparing your children with the Joneses. Our children have to be brought up in an environment that says you're special and you can achieve.
President of the National Association for Early Childhood Educators, NAECE, Esther Pompey, said this year's theme is very much timely due to the fact that around the world children are being excluded from schools where they belong as a result of various reasons, mainly their disability.
We can only hope it will not be only reflective for Child Month, but a stepping stone to total inclusive education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Although one may recognize the main limitation in St. Vincent to inclusive education is with the physically challenged. The onus is on us as caregivers to rise up and enhance our learning capacity, and in so doing, we will be better prepared to enable inclusive education in our institution.
In her remarks, Director of the Child Development Services within the Ministry of National Mobilization, Gemma Alexander, said children with disabilities must not be looked at as having problems to overcome.
Instead, policies and practices in school must adapt and respond to the diversity of these children. This involves creating an environment in which individual needs of every child, including those who do not have different abilities, are met, and ensuring that no child is excluded. By being included in a mainstream classroom, kids with special needs are able to observe and learn from their peers.
The 2018 Child Month and other celebratory activities were officially declared open by the Chief Education Officer, Beverly Neptune.
Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
And Minister of Education, St. Clair Jimmy Prince, is encouraging the nation's children to stand up and reach tall to reach their full potential. Speaking in commemoration of Child Month, Minister Prince said his government continues to invest heavily in education and encourage the youth to use the tools provided to chart a bright future.
You would have heard the words stand up very often throughout your education journey. This indicates movement from wherever you are to another position, usually taking you to a higher level. It is therefore a call to move beyond where you are, to not settle for just sitting comfortably, but to take on greater challenges. Secondly, we look at reaching tall. Horace Mann said, "A human being is not attaining his or her full heights unless he or she is educated." Reaching tall means that you are not just reaching for more, but for as much as you can. You can achieve anything you wish in life or go anywhere because you have the opportunity or ability to do so. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has put the tools in your hand to enable you to reach it all, but you have to use those tools. We have provided textbooks on the book loan scheme, schools are being refurbished, and teachers are certified. These are the tools that will facilitate your ability to reach it all. And so I ask, what will you do with these tools?
The Education Minister also encouraged parents to play a role in assisting the nation's children reach their full potential as peaceful and productive members of society.
What is important is that we provide access to education. As we meander the stream of inclusive education, it is important for all involved to be a positive part of the process. Children have to be taught tolerance and acceptance of individual differences. It is important that they understand that name-calling, bullying, and other negative behaviors towards their fellow classmates or neighborhood friends is unacceptable. Parents, another key player, must also be aware of these individual differences and thus refrain from comparing their children with other children, but rather encourage them to be at their own best. There are many successful persons who had learning difficulties. A disability should not prevent our children from learning. The government recognizes the importance of inclusive education and is ready to work towards its implementation. Schools that have been completed recently have had ramps and are able to accommodate wheelchair access, and this will continue both in refurbishing exercises and new institutions to be built. As I close, I wish to remind all parents, guardians, teachers, communities that childhood is from 0 to 18 years. And that we seek as a ministry to promote holistic education through this period.
Meantime, Principal of the School for Children with Special Needs, Kingstown, Nassim Smith, said a number of basic principles must be observed if SVG is to truly embrace the 2018 Child Month theme, Stand Up, Reach Tall, Inclusive Education for All. Smith, who noted that inclusive education is embraced globally and has been entwined and articulated in international legislation, highlighted some of the principles which must be upheld in order for inclusive education to be fully experienced in SVG.
Supporting every child to feel that they belong. How many of us do that? We need to reduce exclusion, discrimination, barriers to learning and participation. And this is huge because in order for us to reduce all of these exclusionary measures, we must be brave enough to admit that they exist. We must be brave enough to say that there are barriers, and we are willing to work to remove these barriers. We must also acknowledge the right of children to an education of high quality in their locality. So, as a parent, if I live in the rural area, preschool operators, I should not be fighting to get my child into a school in the urban area. I must be confident enough that the same quality education is available in my community as it is 20 miles away.
Deeming inclusive education to be a very complex issue, Smith added that there can be no gap or even one solution to fill that gap.
Inclusive education is now considered a developmental process and has now come to mean the provision of equal educational and social opportunities for all children in schools. Your slogan, "Every child is special," it reminds me of an anonymous quote which I want to leave with you. It says, "All children are gifted. Some just open their presents later than others." Wouldn't it be nice if we were around when they're opening those presents? So to the Early Childhood Department, congratulations and thank you for starting this discussion and for encouraging us to reflect on inclusive education.